Howdy folks, you're watching Deuce and Guns, and today is part 2 in my 2-part series in 2018 of hearing protection. I've already done a video on the in-the-ear style, earbud style hearing protection. If you want to see that video, if you've not seen it yet, go ahead and click that link right there. But we're going to talk about the over-the-ear style, earmuff style hearing protection here. I got a couple of pair here in my ammo crate. Now remember, FTC disclosure, both of these were provided to me for testing, and like always, there's some good things and bad things about both of them. And next up, we have Pro for Show. Now, they are there's an interesting company. I've never heard of them before, but they reached out to me and said, hey, would you like to test our products out? And of course, anything regarding shooting, I am game with testing them out. And these were pretty good. Put them on here. Now, they have a claimed noise reduction rating of 34. 34. That's an amazing number that you can reach. And I have to believe them. This is the only time, wearing these at the range is the only time that another shooter at the bench range could not get my attention without walking up to me. So yeah, these work really well with cutting down the noise. And also what I like about them is the fact they are low profile. Well, they're low profile where they need to be. They have the big cup right there to give you the noise protection rating right there. But then when you want to put a stock up to your cheek, here's video of me using them. But you can see right there that the stock, it does not touch, the hearing protection does not touch the stock. If you're shooting with some hear protection that's touching the stock of an AR-15 and you got kind of a loud spring, oh, that just reverberates through your head. You can't use that. I can't use that. I mean, maybe somebody can, but I cannot have a hearing protection earmuff touching the stock of an AR-15 and it be comfortable, because it's like hitting myself in the head with a tuning fork. It's just not going to work for me. And these don't. The low profile is perfect for that. And now the issues with these. There are, like everything else, everything is not perfect. So, number one, these are built to a price point. Luckily they're very inexpensive. You can go on Amazon. All these, of course, will have links in the bottom of the video description and in the comments section. These are very inexpensive, and you can buy these as your backups for your range bag. When you have guests or friends over, something like that, they forget the hearing protection, you got something to throw them, and these will work great. And they are rugged enough. Now, some of the things about it are, again, built to a price point. You have the headband there. It's a plastic headband with a vinyl type covering over that. That is not leather, nothing close to leather. It's going to feel like vinyl because it is. The hearing cups, you have the foam inside right there, which I'll show close with these, of course. The vinyl around there for the hearing seal is good enough. Is good enough, and it feels almost like a knockoff memory foam. Has a little bit of a memory foam feel to it, so it's nice and soft, but it's not super supple. So it does take a little bit of time for it to kind of, once you put them on, you want to force them down just a little bit, just to get them to seal really good, and you'll get that full 34. When you're shooting, you got to have eye protection on. So you put them on there, and it does work. And I have not noticed, personally, I have not noticed any kind of reduction in the noise rating. I can't tell if it's losing a couple of points here or there because of the earpieces going under. It does seem to seal pretty well because these are fairly tight. And that's another complaint that I've heard about from other shooters. Because I've had these out. They gave me a couple of different versions here for my friends to try out. And they all liked them. They all liked them a lot. But they were pretty tight too. So they're kind of tight on the head. They don't get terribly hot, which is good, because I have had some earmuffs that were crazy hot in the summer. Now, I did try these when I was driving a Deuce and a half, because you're supposed to be wearing hearing protection when you're driving a Deuce and a half. And personally, I feel these were too isolating. That's how good they work. They were too isolating for me to hear the gear shifts, to hear the noise of the engine well enough to know when to shift. So I found myself looking at the tachometer too much. You can't do that, especially when the tachometer is down next to your knee, like in a Deuce and a half. You can't do that. So these were a little bit too isolating for that. And the last issue I had with these is, unfortunately, the name. Pro for Show. It just sounds kind of, it sounds like a made-up name. I'm sorry. It sounds like a made-up name. It doesn't sound like a legit company, which they are. These are totally legit. So I would recommend, if you can't stand a name, these are great. This is a great product. Just cover them over with a piece of tape and write your own name on it for identification, so no one walks off with them, because someone will try to walk off with these. And last but not least, Earmor. Earmor is electronic hearing protection. And now on the box, they claim to have an NNR rating of 22. So NNR of 22, which is pretty poor actually. But that's a complete overall average, because let me show you this on the back of the box here. But it starts off, they give you a rating from very low frequency to very high frequency. As far as shooting, these have a much better rating than 22. I don't know what it is. I don't know what frequency most shooting happens at, but it's definitely higher than the 22 where they average it out on. It's more than likely in probably the 26 to 28 range is my guess, because it's better than all my earbuds except for the decibels. It's definitely better than the Radians and far better than the Howard Lights. So these are a good option. There were some issues though, because number one, it's electric. There's electronic issues here that unfortunately stem from the fact that not everything is perfect. And these have a microphone. Both sides have a little microphone there, a little fuzzy area, and each side has a battery. And each one, see, number one is that battery is stuck in there. I've got to pry that sucker out. That used to not happen. For some reason, it swelled up inside and it stopped working. But there we go. It takes two AAA batteries, and whenever it senses something loud, it shuts down the microphone, because these are two mics, so you have a 360-degree presence of your microphone. So you're completely surrounded, and you have three buttons over here. You press the middle button, and it turns it on. So I can hear everything now, and I can turn that up, and it's amplified above normal range. So right now I am super loud to my own ears. Now one of the problems is, let me turn it off. There we go. One of the problems is that I can never get the battery to keep in contact. I reached out to them and said, oh yeah, you can take a piece of tissue paper and push it down underneath the spring, and that'll keep the battery in contact with the circuitry. Because the second it loses circuit contact at all, just any minute bit, then it's off. And it does not come back on until you remove the battery and put the battery back in. You can't just turn it back on. So unfortunately, the impact from firing your firearm, firing a rifle, was enough to turn this thing off and not let it turn back on without a battery change or battery pull. Now this was an early example, and they have told me that the new ones are fixed and they have a much stronger spring and is much more resilient to impact situations like that. So hopefully the new ones are working better. This one unfortunately did not. It's still good. It's still good, and these are perfect for the Deuce and a half. I have driven around with these quite a bit, because if I need to hear something, I can turn it on. If I don't need to hear something, like if I'm just driving down a highway, I can turn it off, and I still have enough presence to hear the engine. I can hear the shifts. I can hear anything going on with the Deuce and a half. And another good thing is that all the vinyl, because this is all vinyl as well. There's no leather here as well, because these are all kind of budget choices. This is also a budget choice, a budget electronic choice, so it's nice, but it's still a budget choice. All the vinyls are pretty soft. They feel pretty decent. Now the top of that feels like basic vinyl. The top here, that has a metal spring in it, and that might be a little too tight for you, but that's the way it gets that rating. The ear cup material is very soft, very supple, more supple than the Pro 4 Show, but still it's not a leather. It's not a fine, high quality vinyl, but it's nice. It is nice. It does work, and the thing just looks cool, doesn't it? Doesn't it just look neat, look awesome, especially for a shooter or a Deuce and a half driver. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot, these have a plug-in, an audio plug-in right there in the bottom. So you can plug this into your phone. Okay, late last night I was editing this video. Yes, the video you're watching right now, I was editing it, and I figured, hey, you know what would be a good value add to the video would be to go on Amazon, find the Earmor website, the actual sales sheet for Amazon, where I can show a screen print of that and show you guys what price it was, what kind of options they have, and whatnot, and that would be good for the video. Well, lo and behold, these aren't for sale anymore. I don't know. It basically just says they're not available, and there's no ETA for a new batch. So then I went looking online, Amazon, no one is selling these right now. So I don't know how to review something and tell you guys to buy something when they're not available. No one's ever asked me to review something and then stop selling it. Well, that's a new experience for me. So what I'm going to do instead, now these are cool looking and they work for the most part, but if you can't buy them, you can't buy them, no matter how good they are. And they're not that great, they're okay. So what I'm going to do is recommend the almost an identical version of this, the Howard Light Impact Sports. There's a screen print of that. That is available for about 35 bucks from Amazon. And they don't look as cool as this, but you can get them in green. They're electronic. They're a budget electronic just like these are. They almost have the exact identical capabilities. So low to medium volume shots and shooting, no problem whatsoever as far as these will work for that. If you're going to be shooting something with a brake on it, these probably won't be adequate. And especially if you're shooting something big with a brake on it. A muzzle brake, say like a 3-in-1 Win Mag with a muzzle brake, you're going to need to add some extra hearing protection, some earplugs on top of these if you want the electronic hearing protection, or just step up to something else. And if you guys use some sort of hearing protection I've not mentioned here, go ahead and leave that in the comment box below the video, because I'd love to see what other people use while they're shooting. Because we're all shooters here, we all should be protecting our hearing, and even with 22s, you should still be using some sort of hearing protection. Because it's debatable whether or not the 22 itself is loud enough to cause hearing damage. But in different environments, say if you're in a covered area or you're shooting into a berm that's reflecting all that noise right back at you, or you're around other shooters, you should still always have hearing protection on. Well guys, that's it for my day. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give me a like and go up and subscribe. There's a lot more that's on the way. And if you have any comments, questions, or show ideas, go ahead and leave that in the comment box below the video. And of course, you guys have a great day. See ya.